First of all, everybody, I want to introduce everyone and welcome everyone to this relaunch of the Common Sense Summit. And I'm so glad you're here listening to this, what's going to be a really amazing interview. I'm so excited. I just found out about John T. Wayne this morning. And as a lot of you know that are signing in right now. I'm very involved with the Republic, have been since 2009, the movement to restore our Republic. And turns out that John Wayne here is also involved with the Republic. I'm Chief Justice here in Florida. John is an interim governor for the Republic in the state of Arkansas. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. And so he and I are both involved in a very, um, good at high level of the organization, and we're both committed to getting this thing done. We're going to talk about that tonight. But right now, I think it'd be great, John, for you to tell people about your book and your history, and that you really are John Wayne's grandson.
Well, um, I wrote a book. It took 10 years
Hmm.
because I was finding out information constantly, things I didn't know, things I was never supposed to know, uh, kept coming to the table. And and I didn't wrap it up until I had all the information I thought that was necessary, the proof positive, I guess you would say,
Hmm.
to put in the book so that people would know what
Hmm.
happened with my father.
Hmm.
Uh, the book is called An American Heritage. I don't know if you can see this or not.
Um, yes, we can see that just fine. Oh, put it back a little bit so we can see the whole thing a little, and then make it a little bit higher.
There you go. Okay.
Excellent. We can see that perfectly. Excellent. Well, that's a good cover, and it's got
Yeah.
it looks. I can see the cowboy hats, and looks like the Western desert somewhere.
Well, it's Monument Valley, which is
Okay.
where John Wayne made a lot of his movies.
Hmm.
And both him and myself are on the cover.
Hmm. Hmm.
But the book goes into all the details of how a cover up of well, it's 90 years ago now when
Hmm.
my father was born,
Hmm.
um, how they covered up his birth. My father was born with spina bifida in 1935, and that was just one of the reasons they covered up his birth. But
Because
uh,
I didn't quite get that a little bit more clear. He was born where?
he was born with spina bifida.
Oh, with spinal difita. Okay.
Yeah. He was crippled when he was born,
Okay.
and so um, he wasn't raised with the rest of the family.
Okay.
Okay, but the other thing that was proof positive is that my grandmother was never married to John Wayne.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so the doctor, who was in Kentucky at the time, uh, it's really convoluted. This is why I thought I was losing my mind.
Uh-huh.
That, as I mentioned before when we were
Right.
talking,
Right.
um, his last name was Morrison.
Okay.
If you know anything about John Wayne, his name was Marion Morrison.
Really?
Yes.
So John Wayne wasn't his real name.
No,
It was a stage name.
it was a stage name.
Huh.
So when when I discovered that Dr. Morrison was the man who delivered all of my grandmother's children, I thought that's really weird.
Hmm.
But then I went looking in the newspapers and found that they had a party for the doctor's daughter in 1934, Memorial Day weekend, actually, 1934, for graduating from Duke University. Now, in a small town like Hickman, Kentucky, and it was a booming town, but it was still a small town.
Right.
Um, the bridge wasn't across the Mississippi yet. If you wanted to cross the Mississippi, you had to go to Hickman. which is why it was a booming town.
Right.
You had to catch the boat across, you had to catch the ferry across the river.
Wow.
Um, but the doctor threw this party for his daughter for graduation, and one of the people that showed up was the Duke.
Wow.
And of course, that's how he met my grandmother, and that's how my father was born 9 months later.
Oh.
And I didn't know anything about any of this.
Hmm.
When my brothers and I were growing up, we were just told, go play, it's none of your business.
Wow.
We never dreamed that dad didn't know who his father was.
Yeah. So your parents both knew, but
Well,
you and your
no, no,
brothers,
mom and dad did not know.
oh, your mom and dad did not know. Your grandparents.
My grandmother's the only person that knew, and she never said anything.
Oh my God.
Even when we asked her, she'd just say, "Go play. Get out of the house, go play. That's not important."
Yeah.
So I just thought, well, that's just a strange answer.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm growing up thinking, who is my grandfather? A bank robber? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
why can't I know who he is? I knew there was something different because the first thing you learn in grade school is how you get your name.
Right. Right.
You know, we
Right.
were taught, you get your name from your father,
Hmm. And he
right?
gets it from his father.
Yeah, and from his father.
Yeah.
And the grandpa well, the man she was married to had a different last name, so I knew he wasn't my grandfather.
Hmm.
I knew that,
Oh, you did
and
know that. Okay. Yeah.
but who was my grandfather? It
Hmm.
just was some kind of family secret no one would talk about. So anyway, fast forward about 50 years,
Hmm.
and I began releasing my books about the orphans created by the Civil War because I wanted to write books about the Wild West and the Civil War.
Right. Right.
So I started releasing those books, and I developed really a real psychological problem because everywhere I went, I dressed like a cowboy because I was signing books,
Hmm.
and people would just come up to me and say, "Do you know who you look like?" After it didn't take long for me to figure out what they were going to say next,
Yeah. Right.
but I couldn't go anywhere without somebody saying something,
Right.
and I really developed a complex with it. But that's when I started developing or getting information from people. Some of them would walk right up to my table and tell me something I didn't know anything about. That was
Regarding John Wayne.
right.
Yeah.
That was a piece of the puzzle
A piece of the puzzle. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I was missing. And I'm like, really? Hold on, let me write this down, you
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
because I didn't know anything about it,
Right.
you know. I didn't know that he kept cattle in Kentucky. I didn't know he kept cattle in Illinois. I didn't know that he used to fly into Illinois just outside of St. Louis to check on his cattle. I didn't
Well,
know any of
I didn't
that.
know that he was out in the Midwest at any time.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
got pictures of him here in Arkansas
Yeah.
in the 30s. He
Wow.
was a well-traveled man.
Yeah.
But I was just really shocked at how some of the information came to me
Hmm.
because it would walk right up to my table and just spill itself
Hmm.
while
Hmm.
I was signing books.
Hmm. Hmm.
After a while, that worked me over pretty good,
Hmm.
and but the puzzle started developing a full picture.
Hmm. Hey, John, excuse me for 1 minute.
Yeah,
Can you move back from the camera just a few inches? Oh, much better.
that better?
We can see you much better.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you hear me all right?
We can still hear you just fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but your face was kind of blurry there up front.
Okay.
Okay. Now you're perfect.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Well, it's
and the
been a
sound is
long
fine.
time since I've done one of these, so I couldn't tell.
No problem.
Anyway, in 2012, I became certain of what happened when I learned the information about Dr. Morrison,
Hmm.
and I learned other information about the name of the man that was on my father's birth certificate, And when I looked at the birth certificate, I realized it was a forgery
Now, how could you tell?
because everything was done in the same person's handwriting.
Oh,
I
right,
can't sign for a doctor, and I can't sign for a mother, and I can't sign for the father. But
right.
the same person signed for everybody.
So it was forgery.
It's forgery.
Right,
And I thought that's a little strange.
right.
Um, Now I've been to the Bureau of Vital Statistics in Frankfurt several times. They keep wanting to hand me the same old birth certificate.
Frankfort, Arkansas?
No, Kentucky.
Okay, Frankfort, Kentucky. Okay,
His dad was born in Kentucky.
okay,
Hickman, Kentucky's right on the Mississippi River.
right,
And that he was born in February of 1935, which next month will be 90 years.
right.
Um, so anyway, a lot has happened since then.
Hmm.
Um, I know that the birth certificate is there and that it's still sealed up.
Hmm.
The reason it was sealed up was there were multiple reasons, but the doctor wasn't just a doctor in Hickman, Kentucky. He was a 32nd degree Mason.
Yeah,
John Wayne was a 32nd degree Mason.
right.
The doctor was also the head of the Kentucky State Medical Association.
Hmm. Hmm.
And everything that happened that weekend
Hmm.
happened at his house.
Uh-huh.
He had to bury it,
Mm-hmm.
and he did a very thorough job.
Mm-hmm.
But I have an attorney in Kentucky right now that's working to get a court order so that we can get that original birth certificate released. Once I have that, I think the whole ball game is over.
Right, right. Now, did you do some kind of a biological test or anything like that
I've done my DNA,
Mhm.
but from what I understand and the contact that I've had with the family, I don't think they're willing to do a DNA test with me.
Hmm.
They don't want to open that door.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and if I was them, I probably wouldn't want to do it either.
Yeah,
But you
yeah,
know,
you could see that.
it
Yeah.
is what it is.
Hmm.
Uh, but I think the birth certificate, once I have it in my hands,
Hmm.
will be the end of the argument.
Into the story for
Yeah,
them. Yeah.
yeah.
And then
And
once that,
I don't want anything from them. I just want my heritage.
yeah, and they probably they may say that, okay, once you have that and you know that that's proof, then they maybe let let go and allow a DNA test because they don't know for sure right now probably either. But maybe they do. Who knows?
Well, there's some things that have happened, and it's written about in the book,
Oh, okay.
where I'm pretty certain they know,
Okay.
um, because I've run into so many different people or actors from
Hmm.
Hollywood
Hmm.
who have been in the movies with the Duke,
Right.
that, and some of the instances have just proven out
Hmm.
that they knew about this a long time ago.
Hmm. Hmm.
We just didn't know anything.
Hmm. Hmm.
They were content to let it ride as long as we didn't know.
Yeah. 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 Interesting.
So,
So that book, where is it available?
well, you can go to Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
They have it. Uh, Amazon, Amazon has it as well. And ybrpub.com. That's short for Yellow Brick Road Publishing. It's just YBR Pub.
YDR,
YBR, short for Yellow Brick Road. Pub,
YBR.com.
PUB dot
I'm sorry, I
com.
didn't get that. YBR.
YBRpub.com.
Okay.
That's short for publishing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's on Amazon. It's at US. You also said Barnes and Nobles.
Barnes and Noble, Amazon, and YBR if you want a signed copy.
If you want a signed copy.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's my publisher, and they have signed copies on hand.
I'm going to put that in here so we can go over that again and mention this at the end, just to remind everyone. Wow, what a story. That's
Yeah,
cool.
it was a long time getting all the pieces together,
Right.
puzzle, but they're in there.
Well, your whole life, when you were grown and you were sitting there with a cowboy hat, people thought you were John Wayne.
No,
So that's pretty
we were
interesting.
driving. Listen, my father passed away in 2009,
Yeah.
the spring of '09. I've been writing books since before I ever met my wife.
Uh-huh.
In fact, I was sitting and writing and working on a book when we met. And she asked me what I was doing. And I said,
Uh-huh.
well, I'm writing a book.
Uh-huh.
And anyway, one thing led to another, and we ended up getting married.
Oh, very interesting. So what was the name? What's the name of the book again?
An American Heritage
Okay.
by John T. Wayne.
By John.
John T. Wayne.
Okay.
The T is for Thomas.
Okay. So Barnes and Noble, Amazon, ybrpub.com if you want a signed copy. And the name of the book is An American Heritage and by John T. Wayne. Awesome.
Right.
That's exciting.
So anyway, we're driving home from my father's funeral,
Yeah.
and my wife said, if you're going to start publishing all those books you've been writing, you might want to look like a cowboy.
Uh-huh.
I had never dressed like a cowboy in my life. I was a working man.
Hmm.
I was hauling heavy equipment all over the country
Hmm.
in a big rig. Uh, if I moved the truck, it was oversized.
Hmm.
You know, I did.
Can you give me a second?
Sure.
The teenagers are making some noise in the background. I'm gonna try to get
Oh,
them back
okay.
down.
Okay.
Okay. I'll be right back. Guys. So you can see what I'm dealing with.
I've been there. I know. I have been there. That's one thing my wife asked me uh, when the boys were in high school.
Right.
She said, "How do you know what they're going to do before they do it?"
Yeah, because
I
you've
said,
done
"Well, I
it.
grew up with two brothers. That's how.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't born yesterday.
Yeah. Of
I know they're not going to do. They're not going where they're saying they're going. You know.
course not.
Yeah, that would be too easy.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, uh, yeah. So anyway, I started buying the clothing and dressing like a cowboy,
Hmm.
and that's when I developed the problem of people saying, "Do you know who you look like?"
Hmm.
And I wasn't even releasing the books yet.
Right.
I was still driving a truck,
Hmm.
But I used my time in the evenings. When you're hauling oversized, you got to
Yeah.
be off the road when the sun goes down.
Right.
You can't haul that big old stuff down the highway in the dark.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
don't want you on the road.
Yeah.
So I had
So
the
you
rest
have
of the
time to
evening.
write.
I had the rest of the evening to write,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I basically wrote myself out of a job.
Hmm.
I've got eight novels.
Oh, great. Fantastic. Yeah.
They're all based on the orphans from the Civil War.
Oh.
They became the first cowboys, and nobody seems to know it.
Oh.
Prior to the Civil War, grown men did the job.
Hmm. Hmm.
Once the war got up a full head of steam, the ranchers all over the country couldn't hire a grown man.
Yeah.
So they started hiring these kids off the streets
Hmm.
and teaching them the ropes. And
Hmm.
they called them cowboys because that's what they were. They were
I
boys.
did not know that. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prior to that, we didn't use the term cowboy here in this country.
Hmm.
It came about because of the Civil War.
just one other thing about the Civil War that
Yeah,
it was created from the Civil War, just like our
yeah,
US Corp
right. Yeah,
created
U.S.
out of the Civil War.
Corporation. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That began under Ulysses S. Grant.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
um,
Hmm.
the folks that financed the war for Abraham Lincoln
Hmm.
wanted their money back.
Of course.
Okay, and that's reasonable.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize that he borrowed $3 billion, or that he spent in excess of $3 billion to win the war.
Hmm.
Um, but that was the order of the day.
Are you familiar with where in that 3 billion that he raised, how much was through the greenbacks? How much was loans, or have any idea on
This
how
is
that?
that's
Because
just
the
pure
greenbacks
that's
did play
just
a part,
pure
right?
loan. That's just
Okay.
pure loans from the British government, not the government, but
Yeah.
families like the Rothschilds and the Westmorelands and others.
Westmorelands, Schiffs, Warburgs.
Yeah, they borrowed this money from the banking families.
Yes.
They're the ones that had all the money.
Right. Right.
The British government didn't have the money,
Hmm.
uh, and several things happened with the war that when the war was over, you didn't see Britain going around the world settling all the disputes anymore.
Hmm.
Guess who was doing it? We were.
We were, yeah, for them.
From that day forward,
Yeah.
from the time the war ended until today, we're
Yeah.
still doing it.
We're the military
Our
for
lives,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
the military complex. That's us.
Hmm.
We're just being used by Great Britain.
Yeah. We have been ever since. Ever
Yeah,
since, actually, even there's a pretty good case to be made that that started in 1791 when George Washington put in the first Rothschild Bank, first 20-year Rothschild Bank.
yeah. Well, that didn't help matters,
No.
but you know, um, we've been played by the banking system for too long,
Right. Yep.
and it's time that the people woke up.
Hmm.
It's just that's part of the reason that's why I'm part of the Republic.
Hmm. Me
I want
too.
to help get the word out.
Me too.
We can't continue to go on like this.
Right.
We can't. Obama spent $15 trillion in 8 years.
Yeah.
Actually, he ran up in 18, or excuse me, 15 trillion more debt in eight
Wow.
years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Biden just did it in 4 years.
Yeah. It's amazing. He broke his
15
record.
trillion.
Yeah. Yeah. For a war that we absolutely should never ever have been in.
Well,
This
yeah.
Ukraine war.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, he's just giving money away left and right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not certain it's not all money laundering
Hmm.
to give the funds back to the Democrats.
Yeah.
Because certainly they come up with money like I've never seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know that the Pentagon lost 6 trillion when Obama was president.
Yeah.
Where'd that money go?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how do you just lose $6 trillion?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, I
so
think that was discovered like a day or two before 9/11, right?
uh, that may
There was some connection there, I
well,
believe.
yeah, they discovered there was a couple of trillion missing
Hmm. From the Pentagon.
from the Pentagon. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that happened, and 9/11 happened the next day.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not a coincidence.
No, no, I'm beginning to think there's none of this is a coincidence.
No, no,
These
no,
fires that are happening out in LA, none
no.
of it, you know. When you see that, the governor of California siphoned off all the water to save the little fish,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so there was no water to fight the fires with,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's crazy.
That's not an accident.
That's not an accident.
No, it was planned.
Well, they've already got plans to rebuild with apartment complexes instead of homes,
Right,
single family homes.
right. Well, what do they call them? The 10-minute cities or something like that?
Yeah, I think 15-minute cities.
The
Yeah,
15-minute cities. This is the New World Order
right.
BS, and that's what they're done. They're killing all those, destroying all those homes, putting people out of their homes. A lot of people dying, and it's just all part of the New World Order. What is it? Agenda 30 and Agenda 21. Uh,
Well,
you
there
know,
there are
all that.
a lot of very, very rich and powerful people around the world
Hmm.
that are behind some of this stuff.
Hmm.
Not necessarily the United States government,
Hmm.
but they have operatives in that government.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. When you have money, you can control people and governments. That's
Exactly.
basically what happened.
Exactly. And we're standing the republic back up because it was never reseated at the end of the Civil War.
Correct.
When the Civil War ended, the 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 government appointed a bunch of senators and congressmen from the South, but they wouldn't let any of the senators and congressmen from the South back to Washington, D.C.
Hmm.
They appointed a bunch of black men and
Hmm.
they told them, you're going to do what we tell you or we'll get somebody else.
Hmm. Hmm.
Well, that's no representation at all.
No. Mm-mm.
And that's what the South had for the next 20, 30, 40 years.
Hmm.
Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. Yeah.
So going into uh, the turn of the century, around 1900, they were just the South was still the poorest place on earth,
Hmm. Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And the Reconstruction,
It was horrible.
the,
Yeah.
one of the things that when I learned that the federal government ordered the generals in charge of Reconstruction not to allow the newspapers to write anything about the orphan problem,
Hmm.
I knew why I was going to write about orphans
Right.
because they
The what
because
problem?
the orphan
Oh,
problem.
the orphan problem, the orphanages.
They had a huge orphan problem.
Right.
St. Louis had two orphanages when the Civil War started, taking care of about 2,000 children each.
Okay.
When the war ended, there were 24 orphanages in St. Louis, taking care of over 20,000 kids,
Wow.
and they still couldn't get them off the streets.
Right. Yeah.
But if you read all the newspapers of the time going back to that era, there's nothing in the papers.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know why? They were ordered not to write it.
They didn't want that history to be known.
They didn't want that history on the table.
Right.
They effectively buried it.
Hmm.
And the history was just forgotten.
Hmm.
Their stance was they'll grow up.
Hmm.
Well, of course they'll grow up,
Yeah.
but how?
How are they going to grow up, and
Yeah,
what will they become?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's where the term cowboy came from.
Yeah. Well.
And the ranchers around the country saved a bunch of them.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know, it was a better life than what they had in front of them.
Right. Right. Yeah. There's just in on this vein, I don't know if you're familiar with Mike King's book called Dixieland Deceived. Highly recommend that people read that book. It kind of picks up right where Andrew Jackson refused to renew the second bank of the United States, which was
Okay.
put in, and you're familiar with that probably, that in
Well, I'm familiar with
2000.
Andrew Jackson, but I'm not familiar with that move.
So the first bank was Washington put in 19, or excuse me, 1791. It was a 20-year, all of Rothschild's banks back then were 20-year banks. They had a
Okay.
20-year tenure. And so Jefferson and his crew, Madison, Jackson, they were all the Democrats, and Democrats were anti-bank. They knew what these people were. They
Okay.
understood the bankers. And so in um, 1811, that 20-year bank was set up for renewal, and the Amschel Rothschild expected it to be renewed. Well, Jefferson convinced Madison not to renew it. And when that didn't get renewed, Rothschild was furious. And he announced, and it was very clear, announced, it was even in the newspapers. He said,
Hmm.
I will have America at war within 3 years. He was so furious that they took his bank away.
Yeah.
And it took him 1 year, 1812, War of
Right.
1812.
Right.
He maneuvered both sides, England and America, to have a war because they make money and they fund both sides of every war.
Right. Right.
That's what their business
What
plan
they
is
do.
and has
Yeah.
been for a long, long time. So anyway, that was put away, and then and Madison didn't want to have to go back to the bankers, but the War of 1812 bankrupted the country again. And
Hmm.
so in 1816, he put in another, he went back to the Rothschilds and they put in the 20-year bank, the second bank of the United States.
Okay.
And and this guy, Nelson Biddle, who was the guy who ran that bank, was a real monster. And even within a few years, he was just buying up congressmen, buying up senators,
Hmm.
buying up the big corporations and making partners with making people wealthy that are already wealthy, doing
Right.
what the bankers do, right?
Right.
So Andrew Jackson said, I'm going to run for president. And, and he got it. It was, I
Well,
think,
he became a general in the War of 1812.
yeah, it became the War of 1812. And then after the war was over, he decided to run for president
Hmm.
so that he would be around in 20, or excuse me, 1826 when that 20 years was up because 1816,
Right.
to 1826. So he ran for president knowing that he was going to kill that bank and make sure that it didn't get renewed again. And so there's a couple different stories. Some people say it was 1826. Other people say it was 2 years before that, 1832, I think,
Hmm.
that it came up for renewal 4 years early. Nelson Biddle thought that he had enough people in the Congress to override um, Jackson's veto because they knew. I mean, Jackson told everybody he was going to veto it. When in the 20 years. And so they had the vote in 1832 and they lost by one vote. It took two-thirds of the Congress to override a veto.
Yeah.
He lost by one vote. So think about that. He had basically bought two-thirds of the Congress over
Wow.
the time that he was, running the bank.
Yeah.
The Bank of the US. And by the way, the senators didn't have anything to say, but two-thirds of the senators censored Jackson for getting rid of the bank. So he had also bought the senators. So that's
Wow.
what people need to understand about these bankers. That's how they work. They
Yeah.
buy our representatives, they buy our senators, they buy our presidents.
Yeah.
They just buy whoever they want because they have virtually unlimited money.
I don't think they're going to buy Donald Trump.
They aren't going to buy Donald Trump, and that's why we're going into a new age.
Yeah. Yeah. We are.
I
All right. Well,
I
it's
really
also why
believe
we
that. I
need
believe we're
we
going
need to.
into a golden age because these bankers are no longer going to be in charge of our country.
Right.
But go back to you got to read this book, John. It is amazing.
What's
Uh,
the name of it?
Dixieland Deceived. I'm telling everybody listening,
Okay.
you got to read this book by Mike King. Um, and he goes through exactly how the bankers maneuvered us into the Civil War, who the players were,
Right.
who they paid off in the North, who they played off in the South, and
Right.
it's like a textbook of how the bankers create wars. and both side and get and finance both sides.
Right. Well,
So
they're at it again.
yeah. And so yeah, Mike King's book work is very I recommend him all the time whenever I do these events because I just think he's a real true historian. Um, and he really nailed it in Dixieland Deceived. But it's also the book, it tells a lot about the different battles and how horrific it was. Such
Mhm.
a slaughter of young children. I mean, a lot of these
Yeah.
kids were 16, 15,
Right.
17, 18-year olds on the north and south, all these kids getting massacred. 500, what is it, 500,000, I think. You know,
Yeah.
it's just horrible. But anyway, yeah, you're right. I mean, getting rid of these bankers, and that's what, I believe Trump is doing, and step by step, and getting them out of our government um, is going to be, it's going to bring us back to where we should be with our founding principles.
Well, if we can get the people to understand it
Yeah.
and get the traitorous news media
Hmm.
to not lead us into another war,
Hmm. Hmm.
because they have a way of doing it.
Oh, that's critical.
Mm.
That's the first thing that they do is they buy up the media. Look
Yeah.
who owns them.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious who owns them. So, yeah. Well, yeah, I think you and I are on the same path. And we just need to get people to realize how important supporting this restored republic is. And it's not that difficult. All you have to
Right.
do is go to there's a couple websites. There's the members dot Republic for the United States of America.org. And then
Right.
there's the Republic for the United States of America.org, those two websites, and start and take a position. And I think
Right.
we should make it clear to each other that you and I are not the governor, we're the interim governor.
Right.
We're not the chief, I'm not the chief justice, I'm the interim chief justice. What we're doing right now is we're using the Northwest Ordinance to populate the republic the same way that the country did when we were expanding westward. So
Right.
we're using the same formula, correct?
That's correct. And we're doing this peacefully. We're not
Yes.
threatening anybody.
Right,
We're standing up alongside the current de facto government, but we're reseating the original de jure republic,
right,
which
right,
was vacated with the Civil War. When Lincoln took us to war, he did it with executive orders
correct.
and effectively took the Constitution and tore it up and threw it in the trash.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
we haven't had a de jure republic since.
And what they've done is they kind of changed, they pretended to keep the Constitution.
Right.
They call it the Constitution, but they changed the title a little bit with different words and abbreviations and, capital letters instead of smaller letters and made it
Right.
appear that we still are operating under that Constitution, but we aren't and we haven't. If
Right.
we were, we wouldn't have an income tax because
Right.
it's unconstitutional.
Right.
We
It's
wouldn't
never
have a
been.
property tax because it's unconstitutional, right?
Right. Right.
We wouldn't have a Federal Reserve because it's unconstitutional
Right.
way to create money.
Well, the Federal Reserve isn't even a government office.
Yeah,
It's
right.
privately owned
Hmm.
by the cartel,
Yeah.
the banking cartel.
Hmm.
I've got a book called The Creature from Jekyll Island.
Yeah, oh, I'm very familiar with it. I've been telling
Okay.
people to read it. Well, I'm a very good friend of G. Edward Griffin.
Okay.
I've been to Jekyll Island with Ed Griffin. I have a nice picture of me standing in front of the picture with Frank Vinderlip and Paul Warburg and the
Right.
six of them that were there. And Ed and I are in front of the picture and we're both going like this, with our thumbs
Yeah.
down. And
Okay.
but yeah, when I was there, it was 19, no, 20, what was it? It was late 1900. No, it was 2011 or 2012. And at
Okay.
that time, if you went to Jekyll Island, all this history that you and I are talking about was
Yeah.
there. You could read about it, and I was kind of blown away that they were actually having all this truth exposed to the people who visited them. But
Wow.
apparently that's all been changed.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. But you got to go there somewhere anyway because it's really cool to be in the room where they did this to us.
Right.
But yeah, so everyone, Creature from Jekyll Island is like number one on people's list. The other book that's very good and covers some of the things that Ed doesn't cover is Melvin Stamper's book from the roots of the poisonous tree, from the fruits from the poisonous tree. Some
Okay.
Melvin Stamper, and he goes into the birth certificate scam, Social
Right.
Security scam, some of the things that Ed didn't cover in Creature from Jekyll Island. But the two of
Right.
those together, along with Smedley Butler's book, he was the guy that the uh, General Smedley Butler, and he was the most decorated soldier in the history of our country. And he said all wars are bankers' wars. He realized that he was basically a soldier of fortune, like a
Right.
mercenary, pretending to be in our government, working for the cartel, the
See,
banking.
I didn't know any of that when I signed up for the Marine Corps.
You didn't?
No, you don't.
Check check out
You
check
learn these
out
things
Smedley
later in
Butler.
life. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
don't know it when you're 17.
yeah. Of course. You
Yeah,
signed up at 17.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I turned 18 in boot camp,
Hmm.
but it changed my life.
Hmm.
You know, I learned
Hmm.
how to think for myself.
Hmm.
You know, and
Yeah.
do a lot of things I wouldn't have probably done.
Yeah. The Marines is probably the best one to go into, huh? For a
Well,
lot
it
of
was for
reasons.
me. I
Yeah.
mean, it was the right thing for me.
Hmm. Yeah. So what are the next steps that we all have to, you and me and everybody that's in the Republic now? Where do you think we should put our emphasis to get this movement really going?
Well, we really need to start um, developing the county seating the
Yes.
counties,
The county assemblies.
right? The county assemblies in each state, uh,
Mhm. Each county.
develop those because those counties tell the governor what to do.
Right.
See, since the Civil War, it's been 180 degrees backwards.
Hmm.
Prior to the Civil War, the counties told the government what to do.
Hmm. Hmm.
But since the end of the Civil War, it's just been 180 degrees out of phase. Everything
Top
comes from
down
the
to
top
bottom
down.
up. Yeah. That's what we
And,
need to do.
and so the people don't have any say in anything
Hmm.
that's passed, that's just shoved down their throat.
Yeah.
And so we've got to turn that around. And
Hmm.
that's why we need these county assemblies. There's 75 counties in Arkansas.
Hmm.
We need each county to have a full assembly and know how to handle their voting
Hmm.
and then tell the governor what's going on in their county.
Hmm.
The only way the governor can help is if he knows what's going on.
So yeah, anybody listening to this, this is what you really need to do is sign up, start reading what's the information that's on those websites, listening to the Rumble, SG Sandy Mayarecki, Colonel Sandy Mayarecki videos, and get yourself educated and get yourself signed up and call your governor. If you're in Arkansas, you want to call John Wayne, Governor John Wayne.
That'll
And
work.
here in Florida, you call Governor Mike Bishop and say, what can I do? Where can you serve? Where do you need somebody? And then find out, number one, actually, probably, is to find out who your assembly leader is in your county assembly leader, and get involved at the county level, like you
Right.
just said, right?
Right. We've only got a few counties in Arkansas that actually have assembly leaders right now. And
Hmm.
we've got to get the rest of the counties seated.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, we have the state government seated except for one chief justice.
Okay.
And I think we'll have that in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
We're just waiting for someone to finish up the books, Reinhabited.
Hmm. right.
because that's required reading if you're going to be at the state
Yeah.
level.
Let me show people those books, okay? So we can
Okay.
actually put them up. And by the way, it looks like a lot of reading, and it is, but it reads like a novel to me. It's I love reading all this history.
Yeah, they're full of a lot of information,
Yeah,
all historical and correct.
right. So it's Reinhabited Volume One and Volume Two.
Yep.
Volume One is the like the real history of our country,
Right.
and Volume Two is more focused on what happened when our from 2012 to now in terms
Right.
with the Republic. And so the history of this restored republic. So and that's actually required reading for holding an office.
Right.
And so anyway, these are book. And by the way, I know it looks like a lot of reading, but you can get these in audio, so you can
Right.
listen to them in your
Yep.
car or whatever if you want. But yeah, and they're very well known. The Hurtlers did a very, very good job on this, and they've been involved for the whole time.
Yep. Some very good people.
Yeah, yeah. And so yeah, folks, it's a lot of fun. I mean, what I've been seeing here, John, we've had a little bit of an advantage here in Florida because you know there are so much action back in 2009, 2010 here in Florida, and so. Um, we have a lot of assemblies, county assemblies that are doing pretty well. Our county assembly
Right.
here in where I am in Palm Beach,
Hmm.
I think we've grown to about 14 people now,
Okay.
and they're good, really good. This one lady walked in the other day, and she's an Israeli. She speaks 7 languages, and
Okay.
she's really smart. And we're getting people that are really competent and get it. They understand this is a bottom up government. We're gonna take back our government
Right.
from the bottom up. And
Well,
yeah,
that's the only way you can return the government to we the people.
yeah, yeah,
You can't force anything down their throat and call it we the people.
right.
And that's been going on for 160 years, and I think that's long enough.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. 100%. So I think what we'll do is maybe wrap this up, unless you have more to say, and just let everyone know that Rumble is a great place to go to get those videos. Again, SG Anon volume 63 and 136. Yeah,
Right.
136. And that one was just very recent. But if you watch the first one, it Sandy's going through a PowerPoint of all the different steps and stages of how we lost the republic and getting it back. So that's a good one. But this most recent one will give you an idea of how exciting things are getting and the progress that's been made. And then we really do think Donald Trump is already bankrupted. There's a good chance that he's already bankrupted the corporate 1871 corporation, and that part of his plan is to get rid of that corporation, be able to get rid of the Federal Reserve, all these unconstitutional things, that get rid of the IRS again, and other totally unconstitutional income tax.
Right.
So un-American.
Well, you mentioned the IRS. When
Mhm.
Lincoln was shot in Ford Theater, it was April 14th, 1865.
Mhm.
And he signed an order that day to create the Secret Service
Yeah.
to go after the counterfeiters.
Hmm.
Back then they called them boodlers, but they were counterfeiters
Hmm.
because 1/3 of all the greenbacks in circulation
Hmm.
were counterfeit.
Hmm.
And it was destroying the value of the money
Hmm. Hmm.
because people were passing too many counterfeit bills.
Hmm. Hmm.
So he created the Secret Service. He was shot that evening, and April 15th, he died earlier the following morning. Has been tax day ever since.
Hmm. April 15th. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah. I
just
never
thinking about it.
connected those two things. That's amazing.
It's just a couple of dots I connected several years ago when I
Yeah.
thought,
Yeah.
I was working on a book called The Counterfeiters because I wanted people to see the relationship of how we got to the counterfeit government that we have today.
That's
And
kind of weird. It's like the deep state just kind of rubbing it in our faces that they're going to make us pay the taxes on the day that they
right,
killed Lincoln.
right. Well, the book, when you start out, you think Lincoln's going after the counterfeiters and the federal government's fixing to go after him.
Mhm.
And as you get further into the book, you realize
Yeah,
the federal government are the counterfeiters.
exactly. And that's exactly what the Federal Reserve is.
Yeah, and that's what the book is about. I'm not done with it yet. My grandson read some of it and he said, "Grandpa, if you release this, you're going to go to jail."
Mhm.
And I thought, well, if I go to jail, I go to jail. But
Um, there, there's uh, there's a book called 5,000 Year Leap by Cleon Skousen, the Constitutional Study Group. Cleon Skousen was an amazing guy, amazing historian, American historian.
mhm,
But one of the things he talks about is with the 5,000 year leap being based upon these principles of natural law that our country is based on. You know, Jefferson said the
right,
laws of nature and of nature's God. That's what
right,
the principles that our country is based on. And the progress that we made from 1790 to 1812 was unbelievable. And there was no inflation. 25 cents bought a loaf of bread in in 1790, 20, and it bought the same loaf of bread in 1910. So
right,
for like 120 years, there was no inflation.
right,
And our country became the most prosperous nation the world had ever seen. In 1906, the United States was producing over half of all manufactured goods in the world. Lumber and building materials, over like 60% of all the in the world. And all of that was with 5% of the world's population and 6%
right,
of the world's land.
right,
And people coming from all over the world to come and work and be free.
right.
And so there's never been anything like that in history. And it was because our founding fathers gave us those fundamental principles that we're trying to earn back right now with this restored republic because they've taken
Well,
them away again.
we have to return to them because you can't have freedom without God.
Yeah,
If you take God out of the equation, you just removed freedom.
that's right. That's right.
You cannot have it without God.
Yeah.
Now you can stand there and argue with me till you're blue in the face, but I know that as a fact.
Oh, there's you're out there. I love you. I love you bringing that up because God gave us a freedom. The God gave us our freedom so we could develop our full potential, which He wants us to do.
Right.
I mean, that's the way I look at it. I mean, I always wondered, we're made in the image of God. What the heck does that mean? You know, and I remember when I was a little kid, well, does God look like me? What it is God gave us His will. He gave us His freedom. He gave us His His ability to create. We're the
Right.
creators. He gave us the ability to create, and that freedom is essential to be a creator. And that's why America is the most creative nation on the earth and has accomplished so much because we have that freedom.
Because we have freedom. But
Yeah.
that freedom has been uh, squandered
It's been
a
chipped
great
away
deal,
at,
chipped
you know.
away at. However, there's just so many ways to
Yeah.
different words that can explain what's happened over the last 160 years. But they want, they're doing their best to make us all slaves
Yeah.
to the
Absolutely.
bankers.
Yeah. Exactly.
And if
exactly.
you want to continue under the de facto federal government, you're welcome to do so. But the the republic, the original de jure republic that we stand for, we believe will win in the end. We're setting up God's kingdom.
I think it's beautifully said. And I believe that once people see how our assemblies, if they start participating in our assemblies and they start to see how freedom works and they get
Mhm.
excited about the potential of creating true prosperity and a bottom-up government without being, having this government, which is government means mind control. Did you know that? The word govern comes from the Latin gubernare, which means control, and the
Mhm.
menta, government, menta is mind. Government is literally mind control, and that's what they do. They control our minds with the media. So
They do a real good job of trying.
they do a really good job of trying. And you see, I mean, this what Trump has done, what the MAGA thing has done, I think is just so fabulous because it's a shift. It's a shift. When I
Yeah.
saw RFK walk on that stage in Arizona with the hundreds of thousands of people there, and everybody clapped, and the audience and went on forever because people are realizing he's basically creating a uniparty of freedom fighters.
Right. If the
And
people come together, if the people come together, all these people that divide everyone have
yeah,
lost.
yeah, yeah,
All these people who want to see us fight have lost.
hmm hmm
And
yeah,
we all need to come together to save this country. And it's personal responsibility. You know, if you want America to be better, you have to be better yourself.
yeah, yeah.
You got to start with you.
I think when all those people got together, Elon, Tulsi Gabbard, Vance, the hillbilly,
Oh yeah,
Robert F. Kennedy, and all of those people got on the stage, the deep state lost their power that day because people are unifying. They can't divide us anymore, and they're going to keep trying. But I think
right.
they're. I guess the way is it. I think we've weakened their power dramatically to control us.
When I do look at Facebook
Mhm.
once a day
Yeah,
just to see, take people's temperature.
right.
There's just a whole lot of done. I say uninformed
hmm
people out there.
Yeah, there still is.
A whole lot of uninformed people. They'd
hmm
rather just go around calling everybody names because they don't understand what's going on.
Right, right. Yeah.
Um, and the door is open for you as well. If you're one of those people,
hmm
you know, you need to realize you haven't had your original de jure republic for the last 160 years and get on the bandwagon.
That's right. Yeah. We want everybody that's been on the other side and been listening to this mass media propaganda, and their deep state, all their agendas, the Agenda 21 stuff and the climate change absolute nonsense, all that stuff. It's just it's just propaganda.
That's what
It's not
it is.
real. What's real is human beings being free and being able to develop their full potential within a country that allows us to be free.
That's right. But I've been saying for the last, I guess, 15 years, you can't have freedom without God,
No, you're right. Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
especially Americans.
hmm Well, we want the whole world to be enjoy that freedom.
Well,
Every
we want
every every
exactly, we
human
want the
being.
whole world to enjoy it,
Yeah.
but
We're
America,
leading the way. That's the way I look at it.
America's America was based on godly principles
Right.
with its foundation.
hmm
And when the founding fathers signed the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, they were signing a contract with God Almighty.
Absolutely.
Okay. To them, they were signing and they were backing it with their lives, their families, and their fortunes.
hmm
And a lot of them paid with all three.
Oh yeah.
Okay. But they delivered freedom to us.
Hmm.
Okay. But that freedom is based on godly principles.
Hmm.
And if you turn your back on God, you can give up your freedom the moment you do it.
Hmm. And
So
freedom's not
we've
free.
got
You
to,
have to work for it. You have to,
well,
you have to, yeah, you have to,
it's not free,
yeah,
but it is.
yeah, yeah.
You
We
have
just
to
have
just,
to, you
you
have
have to
to,
know where it comes from.
yes, yeah,
Without God, you're not going to have any.
yeah, absolutely.
So I, I think maybe we ought to wrap this up. I've got a few things I need to get to.
I think this is the perfect time to wrap it up. I am just so glad that we met and looking forward to working with you in the Republic. Looking forward to promoting your book through this Common Sense Summit that we have here, so people can read it. Can't wait to read it myself. Um,
It's a doozy,
yeah.
but I did, it's basically my life. It's a memoir of my life and
Hmm.
that of my father.
Hmm. Hmm. That's awesome. Congratulations on your life and everything that you've done. And let's work together to build this republic and get people to understand um, the gift that they've been given as at birth to be an American and to be a free individual son of God.
Right.
Yeah.
And another thing, you have to be vigilant because if you don't recognize evil,
Hmm.
if we can't recognize evil, we're doomed.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we have to be able to do that.
Hmm.
And that comes, I think the Holy Spirit has a lot to do with being able to identify it
Hmm.
and know when not to walk in somewhere or
When not to walk in somewhere, when to walk in somewhere,
well,
you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
walk into the wrong crowd,
Right.
a
Hmm.
bad situation,
Hmm.
you know.
Oh, I'll give you a good example of that. I was at January 6th
You
in
were
Washington, D.C.,
okay.
and it was wonderful. I mean, the
Hmm.
whole morning was fantastic. I mean, we were singing this a million people. It's over a million people,
Right,
well over a million people, and we were all singing the Star Spangled Banner together, America the Beautiful together. It was Eric Trump's birthday. We sang Happy Birthday. A million people singing a happy birthday to you. He was powerful. He
yeah,
was so moved. And so that the whole thing and the crowd was so peaceful and wonderful and grandmothers and old people in wheelchairs and just people that were there to support Trump because of the election had been stolen. It was obvious. I've seen stolen elections. I'm from Chicago. I
right,
saw the election stolen
right.
in the RFK Kennedy or Nixon election.
Hmm.
So it really, really pissed me off when I was 12 years old, you know, to see that election stolen. So I was really mad this time. And so I went to January 6th to peacefully protest like everyone else was that was on our side there.
Right,
But but there were people in that crowd that were government informants that were causing trouble. And when
right,
when we saw that kind of thing, people would go up and try to stop it because we knew what was happening. We knew there were people in that crowd that
right.
were trying to cause trouble. So anyway, and that the morning was beautiful. And afternoon, I was walking down the street. We were there and getting there, and you started thinking, should we go up to the Capitol building or not? And we were seeing things where people were trying to make trouble, and then other people were stopping them and stuff. And so the group I was with said, I think we're going to stay right here. We're not going to go all the way up. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to go up a little further, and I'll see you later. So I walked up, and I was about ready to go across this little lane. It was a curved lane.
Hmm.
And I see right as I'm about ready to take that step, there's 8 big white vans, brand new vans that drive up with uniformed drivers, in
Okay,
police uniforms, everything. And then the doors open, and out comes this raggedy crew of young people, and you know, you can tell they're Antifa. I mean, you could just smell
right.
it. And they're putting on Trump hats.
Oh my.
raising hell and yelling, and they ran up to the Capitol. I thought, you know what? Thank you, God. I don't think I'm gonna go any further. You
Yeah,
know,
far enough.
and so that's what I saw. I saw that with my own eyes. There's no question that was a George Soros paid for operation, bringing in people to cause problems.
Yeah. Well, and Nancy, Pelosi was supposed to have the National Guard there.
Yeah, yeah,
Canceled it. She
yeah,
canceled it. Said don't
sure.
come.
Well, because she was part of the plan, they have
Right.
government plants in that crowd.
Yep.
By the way, a lot of the people I was with Coach Dave. It's a Christian group. There was
Mhm.
120 of us in our group all together. And the next morning, we were on a conference call and we were talking about the whole thing. Some of the guys from our group did go inside, and all of them said the same thing. They were just opening the gates. Nobody had to crash a gate at all,
Right.
ever.
They just let him in.
They just
They
let
were,
them
they were
in,
waving. They were
and
waving them.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then the videos inside, you see that even when they were inside, yeah, go on up, and they were taking down the things to go up the stairs, and they just come on in. It was a setup,
It was.
total setup.
Absolutely was.
And I can't wait to see Liz Cheney spend the rest of her life in jail for
You
that,
know,
what they
there's a
put
whole
up
lot
there.
of
That
people
was,
that have done a whole lot of damage.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, I'm going to let the Lord handle it.
But I'll tell you, I'm glad I went.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. So anyway,
Confident in
thank
that,
you.
I
Let's
had
let's
no
stay in
chance of
touch,
knowing.
John.
I'll
Okay.
do that.
And
Absolutely.
thank you so much for this interview. You've really, made this a better virtual summit by being here, and we appreciate it very, very much.
Well, thank you for inviting me, and I'm looking forward to talking to you again sometime.
Absolutely. I'm going to send you a couple of my books too.
Okay.
Okay. And
Okay.
I'm going to go buy your book right now.
Well, um, I'll make certain that I'll get my address to you,
Okay.
and if you're buying my book, I don't have any way to send it to you. I don't have any right now. I'm out.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Well,
but
I'll
they
just get it through. What was the way you said that if I go to ybrpub.com, I'll get a
YBR
signed
Pub
copy?
has the signed copy. Yeah,
I'll just go right there.
yeah. If you order it from them, you'll get a signed copy.
Okay. And sometime we should get together and have our wives get together and you know, I I have never been to Arkansas, I don't think. I don't think I
Well, it's
have.
a pretty nice. It's a pretty nice state. Most of it is the Ozarks.
Yeah. Yeah, the
You know.
Ozarks are beautiful. I've been to Missouri a lot. I've been to the Ozarks
Right.
in Missouri. Um, what's that town called? The Ozarks. It's the Ozark, that area where the water, you
Branson,
have all the water, the
Springfield,
lakes. Yeah.
Table Rock Lake, Lake of the
Yeah.
Ozarks,
Yeah. Lake of the Ozarks.
Boat
Yeah. I've been there
Show.
many times.
Yeah,
So it's probably similar to Arkansas, huh?
yeah,
Yeah.
very much so.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice. I loved it there. Very, very nice. All right. Well, listen, you have a great evening and thank you again. And God bless. God bless our
God bless
country. God
you
bless you. God bless your family.
for everything you're doing. God bless you, and we'll be talking.
All right, buddy. Thank
Right.
you so much. Take
You're
care now.
welcome. Okay. Bye bye.